The history of Islam in China span over a millennium, reflecting the dynamic cultural, political, and economic exchanges between the two civilizations. From the arrival of Islam in the Tang dynasty to the challenges faced by Muslim communities in modern China, this relationship is deeply embedded in the broader historical context of Sino-Islamic relations. Here in this episode, we explore the major phases of Islam's introduction, spread, and evolution within Chinese society, examining its influence on Chinese culture, politics, and the contemporary situation of Muslims in China. Before we proceed, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel Sociopedia. Introduction of Islam to China can be traced back to the early years of the religion during the Tang dynasty, that is between 618 to 907 AD. According to Chinese Muslim tradition, Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, one of Prophet Muhammad's companions, traveled to China in 651 AD on a diplomatic mission during the reign of Emperor Gaozong. This is considered the starting point of Sino-Islamic relations. However, historical evidence suggests that interactions between China and the Arab world had begun earlier via the Silk Road, where Muslim merchants, travelers, and envoys played a pivotal role in linking the Islamic caliphates with Chinese empires. Silk Road was a key channel for trade between the Islamic world and China. Muslim traders from Persia, Central Asia, and the Arabian Peninsula used to arrive in Chinese cities like Xi'an or Chang'an, which was a hub of cultural and religious exchanges. This trade not only facilitated the introduction of Islam, but also the transfer of scientific knowledge, art, and technology between the Islamic and Chinese civilizations. During this period, Muslim communities began to form in China, particularly in coastal cities such as Guangzhou, Quanzhou, and Hangzhou. Many of these settlers were traders, and their influence on Chinese commerce and shipbuilding was significant. These communities maintained their distinct religious practices while assimilating into Chinese society over time. As a result, a unique Sino-Islamic culture developed, blending elements of Confucianism, Taoism, and Islamic teachings. Yuan dynasty, established by the Mongols under Kublai Khan, marked a significant period for Sino-Islamic relations. Mongols, who controlled a vast empire stretching from China to the Middle East, facilitated unprecedented levels of interaction between Muslim and Chinese societies. Mongol rulers of the Yuan dynasty brought many Muslim scholars, administrators, and engineers into China, where they played crucial roles in governance and the military. Muslims were highly regarded for their expertise in science, mathematics, astronomy, and medicine. They were also instrumental in introducing Islamic innovations, such as the use of paper money and advancements in agriculture and irrigation. Prominent Muslim figures such as Sayyid Ajal Shams al-Din, who served as governor and administrator under the Yuan dynasty, was a descendant of the Prophet Muhammad. He was appointed the governor of Yunnan province and is credited with promoting Confucian values while maintaining his Islamic faith. His administration contributed to the integration of Islam into the Chinese socio-political fabric, especially in southwestern China. It was during Yuan dynasty that Islamic architectural influences became visible in China. Mosques with distinct Chinese architectural features, such as the Great Mosque of Xi'an, were constructed. These structures often incorporated Chinese elements, such as pagoda-style minarets and traditional Chinese motifs, symbolizing the syncretism between Islamic and Chinese cultures. Ming dynasty witnessed a flourishing of Sino-Islamic relations, marked by significant diplomatic, cultural, and religious exchanges. Ming emperors, particularly Emperor Yongle, maintained close relations with the Muslim world, recognizing the strategic importance of Muslim communities in trade and military affairs. Perhaps the most famous Muslim figure during the Ming dynasty was the Admiral Zheng He, 1371 to 1433, a Muslim eunuch of Hui descent. He led 7 major maritime expeditions across the Indian Ocean between 1405 and 1433, visiting Southeast Asia, South Asia, the Arabian Peninsula, and East Africa. These voyages expanded China's maritime trade networks and strengthened diplomatic ties with Muslim-majority regions. Zheng He's expeditions were emblematic of the Ming dynasty's global outlook and openness to foreign cultures, including Islam. His legacy is remembered in Chinese Muslim communities, where he is revered as both a symbol of Muslim contribution to Chinese history and as a bridge between China and the Islamic world. It was under the Ming rule that Muslims were granted special privileges, including exemption from certain taxes and military service. Muslim communities continued to grow, particularly in China's northwest cities like Xi'an and Lanzhou. Specifically, Hui Muslims, who were descendants of Muslim settlers from earlier dynasties, became fully integrated into Chinese society while maintaining their religious identity.
During this period, Islamic culture also influenced the Chinese intellectual life. Islamic astronomy, mathematics, and medicine were studied by Chinese scholars, and translations of Arabic works were made available in Chinese. Islam, under the Qing dynasty, 1644 to 1912. Qing dynasty saw a shift in Sino-Islamic relations as the Manchu rulers adopted a more ambivalent attitude towards the Muslim population. While some Muslim communities enjoyed autonomy and peaceful coexistence, others faced suppression, particularly during periods of rebellion and unrest. Qing dynasty faced several Muslim uprisings, the most notable being the Dungan Revolt, 1862 to 1877, and the Panthay Rebellion, 1856 to 1873. These revolts were driven by a combination of religious, ethnic, and economic factors, as Muslim communities in China's northwest and Yunnan province sought to resist Qing rule. Dungan Revolt, which took place in the provinces of Shanxi, Gansu, and Xinjiang, led to widespread devastation and the displacement of thousands of Muslims. The Qing government's response was brutal, with many Muslim communities being forcibly resettled or eliminated. Despite these conflicts, there were still significant moments of cultural exchange during the Qing period. Islamic art, calligraphy, and architecture continued to flourish in some regions. The Qing rulers, like their predecessors, employed Muslim officials and soldiers in their administration, recognizing their contributions to the empire's military and economic strength. Sino-Islamic relations. During 20th century, following the fall of the Qing dynasty in 1912, the establishment of the Republic of China brought new challenges and opportunities for Chinese Muslims. Under the Republic, Muslims sought greater recognition of their religious and cultural identity. Various Muslim organizations were established during this time, promoting Islamic education and outreach within China. After the establishment of the People's Republic of China in 1949, the communist government under Mao Zedong initially adopted a policy of religious tolerance, allowing Muslims to practice their faith within the framework of a secular state. However, during the Cultural Revolution, 1966 to 1976, religious institutions, including mosques, were targeted, and many Muslims faced persecution. In the post-Mao era, China's reform policies under Deng Xiaoping allowed for greater religious freedom, and many mosques were rebuilt, and Islamic practices were revived. Nevertheless, the Chinese government has maintained strict control over religious activities, and Muslims, particularly those in the Xinjiang region, have faced increasing restrictions in recent years. Islam in contemporary China. Today, Islam is one of the 5 officially recognized religions in China, with a Muslim population estimated at around 25 million. The largest Muslim ethnic groups in China are the Hui and the Uyghurs. The Hui, who are ethnically Han Chinese but Muslim in religion, are generally well integrated into Chinese society, while the Uyghurs, a Turkic-speaking people primarily from the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region, have faced significant challenges under Chinese rule. The situation in Xinjiang has drawn international attention in recent years due to the Chinese government's crackdown on Uyghur Muslims. Allegations of mass internment camps, forced labor, and cultural assimilation policies have sparked condemnation from human rights groups and governments worldwide. The Chinese government, on the other hand, justifies its actions as part of its fight against terrorism and separatism. Despite these challenges, Islam continues to be an important part of Chinese society. Many Chinese Muslims, particularly in the Hui community, maintain a delicate balance between their Islamic faith and their Chinese cultural identity. Islamic institutions, such as mosques and schools, continue to operate in many parts of China, and there is a growing interest in Islamic culture and history among Chinese scholars and the general public. To conclude, Sino-Islamic relations have been marked by both cooperation and conflict throughout history. From the early days of the Silk Road to the modern complexities of Xinjiang, Islam has played a significant role in shaping China's cultural, economic, and political landscape. Despite periods of tension, Muslim communities in China have contributed to the development of Chinese civilization, and the relationship between China and the Islamic world continues to evolve in the 21st century. As China seeks to expand its global influence, its relations with Muslim-majority nations, and its handling of internal Muslim populations will remain a critical aspect of its domestic and foreign policies. Thanks for watching. Do subscribe to our channel Sociopedia.